All right. Good evening. Good evening. This is Dr. King. And tonight we are going to be discussing the differences between leading and managing. And before we get started, here is the link to Poll Everywhere. So if you want to go ahead and click on that link and answer that question, Sarah, it just seems to be me and you tonight. But hey, it works for me. So without further ado, we will go ahead and get started. Sarah, do me a favor and post the link to Sheila, please. And type your name in the chat box for me, please, ma'am. So tonight we're going to be discussing the differences between leading and managing. And as y'all know, I'm over here rearranging boxes, so bear with me. If you have questions, type them in the chat box, and we'll go from there. And as always, I introduce myself. So introducing your leader. Our leader tonight is Dr. King. Huh? Did anybody say anything? Okay, our leader tonight is Dr. King, myself. And who am I? I am an awesome wife and mother. I'm a 34-year resident of Duncanville, Texas, and I have lived in the 800 Link community for 18 years. My educational attainment is having a high school diploma, an associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, and a doctoral degree. And then what leadership roles have you been in, Dr. King? So these are just a few. I've actually been in a lot more, but in essence of trying not to, jumble my little box down here, I just put the ones that I've been most recent, and they are basketball program owner, PTA president, teen mom, education doctorate, student advisory council member, Duncanville ISD site-based committee member, head coach, PTA vice president. I've been a classroom mom, a tournament director, and I've served on the Duncanville ISD Shack committee as chairman for a couple of years. And who's the TI communities? What TI's community pillar just does this presentation focus on? And as always, it's going to be education and community building. And who is this presentation for? This presentation is for anyone curious to understand the differences between what lead versus manage. And tonight's question is, how do you feel today? As a good leader always wants to know what is going on with those that they lead. So tonight I am leading this presentation, and I really just simply want to know, how do you feel today? And I'm assuming this is both of you ladies are saying that you feel good at 100%. So awesome. And so now we move forward. What does it mean to manage it? This is not going to be a long presentation tonight. Actually, from the looks of it, it may just really only be, hold on. I forgot to start my timer. I apologize. Give me a second. We're looking at probably only being maybe a 25-minute presentation. So that's good. But what does it mean to manage? Managing means, managing consists of controlling a group piece to accomplish a goal. So whether it's a group of people, a group of machines, a group of software, it doesn't matter. It just simply means a person that manages is someone that controls a group or a set of entities to accomplish a goal. Managers carry out the directives of a leader, and leadership is not a function of managing. And just hold on to that right quick, because when we get over to leadership, I'll explain what that means a little bit more. But leadership is not a function of managing. And then what does it mean to lead? Leadership refers to an individual's ability to influence, motivate, and enable others to contribute toward organizational success. Leaders set direction, vision, and create something new. And we'll get off in detail in these in about a slide or two. Leaders know how to manage. Good leadership always includes responsibilities for managing, and then leadership is a much bigger role with responsibilities. So remember on this slide, the previous slide, where it says leadership is not a function of managing. Well, managing is a function of leadership, though. So you don't have to be a manager to lead, but in order to lead, you do have a series of management responsibilities that you are in charge of. And here they are. We're going to talk about the differences. There are quite a few, and actually way more than what's on here. But each, like on the management side, there's a corresponding duty on the difference on the leadership side. So there are quite a bit, and we'll go through them pretty quickly. So for managers create circles of power. Leaders, let's start off on the leadership side. Remember, it's all management responsibilities. So that's there. I should have switched these so they so that one would be, leading would be on the left side, but it is what it is. Don't worry about it. So we start out with all management responsibilities. Leaders are responsible for all management responsibilities. And here comes Sister Thompson. So everybody post her the link. And good evening, Sister Thompson. How are you? We're only, we can go back a little bit, I guess. We're only a couple of slides in. So we can go back to what it means to manage. And when you get a chance, I see you typed your name and somebody's going to send you the link for the poll everywhere for tonight. So we'll start over. We're only two slides in. So what does it mean to manage? Managing consists of controlling a group or a set of entities to accomplish a goal. And remember, I said managing doesn't necessarily mean that you're managing a person. You can be managing a group of people. You could be managing a set of machinery, software. It could be anything. It just means you're controlling a group or a set of entities to accomplish a goal. And then managers carry out the directives of a leader. And leadership is not a function of managing. And then what does it mean to lead? Leadership refers to an individual's ability to influence, motivate, and enable others to contribute toward organizational success. Most often, leaders are in charge of people. Where you remember, with doesn't necessarily mean that you're managing a group of people. You can be managing anything. Well, with leaders, you are actually in charge of a group of people. Leaders set direction, building inspiring vision, and create something new. They're the innovators of the company. Leaders know how to manage. Remember on the other slide where it says that where it said that leadership is not a function of managing. Well, let me go back. Leadership is not a function of managing. Okay. Kind of went blank for a second there. I had to rethink what I was about to say. But with leaders, you do have to manage. Leaders have to know how to manage. And so good leadership always includes the responsibilities for managing and what managers do. And then leadership is a much bigger role with much bigger responsibilities. So if you want to think of the umbrella or a hierarchy, you'll have leadership at the top. Up under leadership, you'll have managers. And so what are the difference between the two? And like I said, we'll start on the right side first. Leaders are responsible for all management responsibilities. You cannot call yourself a leader and not know how to manage, period. And so start with the first bullet up under managers. Managers create circles of power. Whereas on the right side, second bullet, leaders create circles of influence. Make sense? Second one, managers have subordinates. Leadership have followers. There's a difference. Managers, like I said, you have leaders, managers, and then subordinates. We want to think of a hierarchy at a company: leaders, managers, and subordinates. Well, your subordinates are just lower level employees. They're anything below management and leadership level. Let's look at it that way. Well, remember, on a job, leaders are not always in management or supervisory or leadership positions. A leader is anybody in your life or on a job that have the influence to get people to do things. That doesn't always have to be a manager. This can be the janitor. This can be, somebody that's in the department that has knowledge of how to do everything, so look at it this way. Leaders are not always in leadership positions. They do have power and influence over people to where people do follow them. Managers don't always have followers. People don't always follow managers. You respect the title, but you don't necessarily respect the person as a manager. I'm just being real. Let's keep this honest here. When you're talking about managers and leaders, people respect leaders. It doesn't have to do with a title. You would know a person that has leadership abilities. It just it oozes out of them. With a manager, most often managers that do not have, and you can tell a manager that's on their way to becoming a leader. And we all understand that these are people where they naturally lead. It's inherent within them. But most often with a lot of managers, people respect the title, but they may not respect the person. With leaders, people respect the person and the title. And they may not have the title, but they're going to always respect the person. And so then next one, managers control a group or a set of entities to accomplish a goal. Remember, that came from the previous slide. Leaders control a group of people. They lead a group of people. You know, managers not necessarily controlling. There goes Makia. Hey, Makia. Managers are not necessarily always in control of people, but they're in control of something. As a leader, you are in control of a group of people. I'm moving around boxes, ladies, so bear with me here. Next one, managers need only be concerned with responsibility for things, where leaders are creating new visions and aims. Remember, managers carry out the directives of leaders. So the leader creates that new vision, comes up with that new goal, that new mission, or whatever, however you want to place it. And then it's up to the manager to carry that out. Their responsibility is putting the things in place and leading, the directives of everything that's been put in place by the leader. And then managers measure and report performances, whereas leaders are the ones that create those targets. What are we going to be measuring? What are we going to be reporting? What's the measurement? What are we measuring? That's what the leader says. The leader says, hey, we're going to measure this, and we're going to create the instrument to measure that. The manager says, okay, now that those things are in place, we're responsible for measuring those things and using the instrument to report the performance on whatever we're measuring. And then managers, let's go back. Leaders on the right side create new rules and policies. Managers applies those rules and policies. See where we're going with this? Leaders create disciplinary rules. Managers are responsible for implementing and enforcing disciplinary rules. Leaders decide on structures, hierarchies, and work groups. And then managers organize people and tasks within those structures, hierarchies, and work groups. Leaders create new job roles. Managers recruit people for those jobs. Leaders establish ethical and moral positions. Managers are responsible for checking and managing that those ethics and moral positions are alive and running on the job, are being used, enforced, or whatever, however you want to put it. Leaders develop the organizations. Managers develop the people within the organization. Leaders are problem anticipation. Leaders foresee problems. Let's put it that way. Problem anticipation, proactive foresight. Leaders are responsible for foreseeing problems. Sit down and say, hey, with this particular situation, what problems can arise? That's what leaders do. On the other side, managers are the problem solvers. Leaders are going to say, hey, if we do this, these are all the issues that may arise. And the manager is like, okay, let me find solutions for these problems. Then you have leaders conceive new opportunities. Then it's on to the manager to improve the productivity and efficiency of those opportunities. Leaders inspire and empower others. Managers motivate and encourage others. So whatever happens between the leader and the manager, the leader is always up here. The manager is kind of like there trying to get there, but it's going to always be this type of situation. And then the last one, leaders plan and organize succession, whereas managers delegate responsibilities. Those are the biggest differences between the two. But as you can see, the manager is responsible for, this, and then the leader comes right behind them. And it's like Batman and Robin. Your leader is Batman, your manager is Robin. That's the biggest way to put that. And so what happens when leading and managing goes wrong? We can say, any type of wrong, horribly wrong, little wrong, wrong, whatever. Just what happens when it goes wrong. And I have another list of things. Once again, these are not exhaustive. This list is, infinite, unfortunately. But these are a few of the big ones. Leaders and managers who lack vision cannot inspire teams, motivate performance, or create sustainable value. You cannot lead without vision. And as a manager, if you ever want to one day be considered a leader, you have to have vision, have inspiration, be innovative. You have to be able to see down the line, not just what's going on now, but where can this company go down the line? What can this department do down the line? What can this position, what duties of this position can we add on or negate, or, can we regroup and rethink a job description or a job title, because as we progress in with life and with time, new things come out, new protocols come out, new machinery comes out, new software comes out, new degrees come out. So as a leader, if you want to be, as a manager, if you want to be a leader, you have to be innovative. You have to have the vision to see down the line. Then a leader or manager who lacks character or integrity will not endure the test of time. Once again, by definition, most of your leaders, we have some really good leaders, your Martin Luther Kings, your Gandhis, we have some really good leaders. And once again, by definition, some of your good leaders have not always been the best people. They did lack in character and integrity, and they did not last, didn't span the test of time. Their lives came to a tragic end. So if you want to think of those type of people, we can all think of people who were by definition, because they were able to get people to follow them. By definition, they were good leaders. They just lacked character and integrity, and they didn't last. 45 riots. He sparked that. He was able to get people to do what he wanted them to do. Unfortunately, that's the definition of a leader. He lacks character and integrity. Hitler, Genghis Khan. We've done this before, but go back and think of just bottom line. A leader is anybody that can get somebody to do their bidding, period. But if you lack character and integrity, that's not going to last long. And unfortunately, for all of those people who were not the best leaders, they all met some type of, not necessarily death, but their careers were cut short. Leaders and managers who are know-it-alls will not last if you do not allow the people around you not gonna last long. Because when people don't feel valued, people don't feel appreciated, you don't allow them to provide input, they go places where people will allow them to do that. So leaders and managers who do not allow their subordinate employees to, to allow themselves to practice their own leadership skills, they're not going to last as leaders very long. Leaders and managers who do not know how to communicate will not last very long. If you don't know how to talk to people and listen to people, you're not going to last very long. An overabundance of ego, pride, and arrogance are not positive leadership skills. Positive leaders and good leaders are not egotistical. They don't have that negative side of pride. Remember the discussion we had a few weeks ago, pride can be positive and negative. Well, in this situation, we're talking about negative pride. Like they say, pride comes before a fall. Arrogance. You can't be that type of person and expect people to, well, let's take that lie back, 45, change some of that. However, once again, lacked character and integrity. But in overabundance of that, he did not last. He was a one-term president. So there, we can find all types of examples of these things. Examine failed leaders, and you will find that lack of love, misplaced love, or misguided love were a contributing cause to their failure, if not the root cause. And in this case, we're talking love and care for the job duties, the employees, and the company or entity that they were in charge of as a whole. So if you don't love what you do, remember purpose. You have to have a purpose. If what you're doing in life, you don't have some type of reasoning and once again, it has to be beyond getting a paycheck. Excuse me. If the only thing you're doing is working for a paycheck, you're not a leader nor a manager. You're just somebody governed by a paycheck. Your guidance is purely external and led by money. I'm talking about somebody who has a purpose to lead. And once again, you can tell these people, it oozes out of their pores. So when you examine someone whose leadership failed, which means they lost their position, they were voted out for some reason, they're no longer president, they're no longer head coach, no longer school principal, no longer church deacon, no longer church pastor. You can figure out come up with any leadership role you can. If you go back and figure out and examine and research why they failed, it always has a foundational root in lack of love of some kind. They did not have a passion for it. They took the title. There are a lot of people that are in title positions, get money that is not their calling. As I say, not their ministry. There are quite a few of those running around here, a whole bunch of them. So if you examine the failed leadership, examine failed leaders, my apologies, you'll find that there's a lack of love, misplaced love, or misguided love. Maybe they did, start out loving what they do. And, because of things, and circumstances that have gone on while in that position, that love has been misguided. People, and I don't ever try to say that people do things and start out for the wrong reasons. I'm not trying to say that. I'm saying that, there are, you yin and yang, you have some really good people and then you don't. But there are, for most times, people have good intentions when they start to do things. They come in with vision, they come in with all of these goals, and then for whatever reason, they get chopped down. Or you see people doing negative things that are excelling where you're trying to do something good and you're not. So then that love starts to get distorted, and you're starting. Let's take basketball with coaching. There are some coaches, there are coaches who don't trophy chase, some that do. I choose to believe that not every coach goes into it looking for a trophy. You go into it with the intent of making a difference in kids' lives. But depending on what type of coaching you're doing, like I'm a club coach, I own my own organization, club organization. So my goals are different. Nobody, I don't have somebody above me telling me, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. But if you are a school coach where your job depends on you skirting ethical guidelines, because that's pretty much what's going on now, these coaches' jobs depend on them winning trophies. The problem with that is when you are solely guided by winning a trophy, you tend to forget about the kids that help you win those trophies. So you have to understand that no matter what you do, if something happens and you lose that true love and passion for it, you might want to get out of this situation before your whole career comes falling down. We can think of all type of examples for that. We've known people that have fallen from grace simply by doing, they've done something for years and did one thing or, one thing wrong, or, tried to do something and they lost their entire career, from misguided love. I call it misguided and misplaced. And so and then, I can harp on that forever. So we're going to keep going. The my way or the highway leadership style leads to failure. We all know that. If you don't listen to people and I'm going to do this, and I've been victim of it when I first started coaching and first started trying to do things, and you just get this, I want things run this way and I had to learn real quickly that doesn't work. I tell y'all all the time, I have no problem telling y'all where my failures and where I've had to revamp and rethink and redo some things. That's how growth happens. So I have no problem discussing those things. So when I first started coaching, I was that my way or the highway coach, and it did not work. I lost players, I lost coaches. But once I started changing and started listening and allowing people around me to help me grow, nobody grows without a group. You can't grow alone. I don't care what nobody says, nobody grows alone. There's always somebody, you have a support system that helps you. So when I learned who my support system was and leaned on them to help me and, sometimes stepping back, allowing them to take over, that's when things started to go wonderful for this basketball program. And we started rising as a unit. It's not me. No award I accept is mine. I accept it on behalf of all of my coaches and my staff. So that my way or the highway thing does not work. I know that firsthand. And then leaders and managers who are not intentional and are not focused will fail themselves and their team. If you don't have vision, if you are not intentionally paying attention to what's going on in your organization, if you are not focused on making sure that your goals are met, reach theirs, you're going to fall apart. You're going to fall apart. Your organization's going to fall apart. Those that work around you are going to fall apart. Your team's going to fall apart. You have to be intentional. They say with leadership, or what's the law? Ignorance of the law or ignorance of the rule, or just saying, I do not know, a lot of times will not fly when things go wrong, because as a leader, you are supposed to know. Now, granted, you can't know everything, but that's why leaders have, people around them whose job is to manage. Managers and leaders work together. You have to have, Batman has to have a Robin. Robin has to have a Batman, period. Justice League, Marvel Comics, they all work together. They're leaders within their own rights, but they all work together to make the big picture a bigger thing. So you have to have intention and know what's going on around you, especially if you own something or run something. You have to know what's going on in your business or your organization or whatever it is, because if not, you're going to tumble. missing something crucial because you chose not to pay attention and take some time to know what's going on with your company and your people, that leads to downfall, And then managers and leaders who get comfortable with the status quo and lack innovation won't last. You can't get comfortable. There is no growth in being comfortable. If you start to become complacent, you need to find something to do. I tell my best friend all the time, and I've been going through this because I'm always normally trying to take a class, learning something, and I haven't been doing that lately. And I got complacent, I got bored. I'm like, I'm bored. So I started taking a new class today. I'm auditing a sports law class. If I'm going to be a sports, do stuff sports related for a career, I'm going to try to learn as much as I can. And that also leads to being able to add different aspects and new aspects to our program. I'm always trying to add something new, innovate. So you can't become complacent with, it can't become about the status quo and just trying to do the same thing over and over. You'll become old news, flat, however you want to put it. So you have to go out there and sometimes push the envelope, but push the envelope in a great way. My apologies, ladies. Hold on. What am I doing? Once again, messing with my mouse. I moved my mouse and did all of this. There we go. All right, and we're down. We're 3 from the bottom. Leaders who do not focus on the customer experience will have problems. We spent a whole lot of time on this one not too long ago. And I've been having this conversation with several people this last week, especially when it comes to restaurants. If you do not spend time to make sure that your client or your customer has a positive experience when dealing with you, you will not have them long. And without customers, your company or organization will not thrive. I don't care if you have selling a product or a service. If you do not focus on making sure that your customers and clients have a positive, wonderful experience whenever they deal with you, whether it's a phone call, trying to, buy something new or get a new service, or there's something going wrong and they need they need your help to get something fixed, or you're just out networking. If your customer experience is not awesome, if you walk away from people and you don't leave them with a wonderful feeling about you, you're going to have problems and you're going to have a hard time keeping your business afloat, because people don't do business with folks that don't give them a positive experience. Like me, if I have a bad experience at a restaurant, you better believe I will never go there. My best friend is like, we have no place to eat ever. Because once something bad happens to me at a restaurant, I'm pretty much done. I work too hard for my money to have those type of problems. So customer experience is a positive thing. You have to leave your customers saying, hey, I'm gonna go back to them. You see a lot of car dealership commercials. They focus on marketing how their customers have a really great experience coming in and dealing with them. That's what you want your customers to have. And you don't, I told somebody the other day, just because you run a business, if you have not taken some type of customer service class, you're going to have a problem. If no one has taught you customer service skills, how to talk to people, how to engage with people, welcome to whatever. Thank you for calling. How may I help you? Thank you. Just saying thank you. I read an article not too long ago. Chick-fil-A gets a lot of business simply because they tell people, thank you for coming, come again, welcome to Chick-fil-A. People want to feel like they mean something to you. So as a business owner, I don't care if you're selling a product or a service, have excellent customer engagement. Excellent customer engagement that'll bring back. And guess what? They'll bring more people back with them. When people are asking for references and can y'all tell me where I can do this? Your name comes to mind. So leave people with a positive customer experience. And then the second one from the bottom, a leader or manager who is not invested in their team will not have a team long. Remember, we talked about this a while back with professional development and caring about those around you. If you do not invest and allow the people around you to rise and work on their own leadership skills, you're not going to have those people with you long. You have to allow people to shine. There is room at the top for everybody. It is. Allow the people around you and invest in. I'm no good without my coaches. I'm no good without my team manager. So as a coach, I have to allow my coaches to shine and step back and say, hey, this is your time. So I don't have a problem being an assistant coach too, so invest in your team and make sure they have what they need. If I'm getting a certification, most often I'm making them get one too, If I'm doing something, I want them to do it too, because I don't want to be the only one in my organization learning this stuff and my coaches are not. You know, what does that make me look like, that I'm investing in myself, but I'm not investing in my coaches or my players? Because if I'm doing good, my coaches are doing good, guess what? It trickles down to the players. So it's a triangle type thing for my organization. So invest in your team. If you invest in them, you will have them for long. They want to be with you. They want to work with you. They want to brag about you to others. And the last one, leaders who do not hold themselves accountable will find themselves involved in problems more often than not. You can't, it's not, okay, let me put it this way. Managers point the fingers at others when things happen. It's never their fault. Leaders, even if they were not there when it happened, are going to take the responsibility. Why? Because it happened under their watch. That's the biggest difference here. Managers point the fingers at others. Even if they did know about it, they don't take responsibility. And once again, I'm being real, not what's in a textbook, not to, you know, I'm not talking about, you know, managers should do this and this. Yes, they should. But in reality, most of your managers, they're not going to take responsibility when things happen. They're going to blame others. Leaders are going to take responsibility, even if they were not there. If there was a game one time where I had a 2023 squad. We had a 23 squad. They were playing up in Grapevine. And I did not get to go to a game one weekend because my daughter was playing school ball. And I chose to go see my daughter play. And something happened at the gym when I wasn't there. Well, I still took responsibility for it because it was my team. They play up under my name. They wear my Lady Panthers jersey. So as the head coach, you know, I'm the head coach over all the coaches, but each team, you know, at one point we had 3 or 4 squads and each squad had their own coach. But a head coach, but I don't, you know, it's not about that. But as this being my organization where my name is attached to it, that means you're in my jersey, period. So something popped off at the gym and I had to assume responsibility for it because they were in my Lady Panthers jersey, period. I don't, you know, I wasn't there. It was, you know, I had to hear about what happened, but I had to call and make apologies and try to make some restitution and say, hey, what can we do to make this right? You know, so leaders are going to hold themselves accountable, period. Themselves and those up under them. It's an umbrella. You're a leader. Everything up under you, you are responsible for. You don't get to say, I wasn't there. Why is it my fault? I wasn't there. You don't get to say that as a leader. Managers say that, not leaders. And so in summary, it's going to be long. In summary, those last 2, 3, 4 slides boils down to this. Leaders innovate, managers administer. Leaders develop, managers maintain. Leaders inspire, managers control. Leaders see the long-term view, managers see the short-term view. Leaders ask what and why, managers ask how and when. Leaders managers initiate. Leaders challenge the status quo, managers accept the status quo. Leaders do the right things, managers do things right. That's the difference, period, point blank. In a nutshell, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those last 4, 5, 6 slides we just went through goes down to these 8 things are the difference. Okay. Anybody have any questions on anything? That took 27 minutes. Well, I take that lie back, 33 minutes. It took 33 minutes. I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm like, that's not right. It took 33 minutes. And so next week, we are going to be discussing one of my other favorite topics from when I worked on my dissertation, the ethics of life, and I'll be focusing on normative ethics. Normative ethics are ethical actions and behaviors that are rooted in morals. So that's next week's topic. And I used normative ethics as the second theoretical framework when I worked on my dissertation and got my doctorate. And I love it. You know, there's, you know, people want to say ethics and morals, you know, kind of like, no, ethics and morals to me, I kind of, because I used to teach cultural diversity, you know how people, there is really a difference between ethics and morals. there's really a difference between discrimination and prejudice. People try to use them simultaneously, but they're not the same thing. Same things with ethics and morals. They're not the same thing, but they're used synonymously. You know, so we'll be talking about that next week. That's going to be fun. And then, you know, if you need to contact me at bridget@ticommunities.com, and nobody log out so I can take the picture. And then facebook.com/drbridgetmking.edd, because some of you like around here don't log out yet. I need to get everybody's picture. Let me stop sharing the screen. Oh, did everybody answer the go-to, or did I? Where'd it go? Hold on. Let me make sure I got everybody's response. Let me restart the slide from the current slide. Okay, I don't know what happened. I'm assuming everybody had a good day. For whatever reason, my poll everywhere went away. That no worries. It is what it is. But I pray everybody had a good day. Let me take a picture, and then I need to post the survey. Take 2 pictures just in case. Uh-oh. I'm excited. Oh, okay. I see what happens. I can see the poll everywhere on my side. Everybody has basically said they're having a good day. So I'm very, like I said, a leader wants to know how people are doing. And I wanted to know how you ladies were doing today. And everybody said they're having a good day. So that is awesome. I'm getting the link. There we go. And the survey. There we go. In today's survey, remember the information, the title is Leading versus Managing. It is education and community building. I think that the thing went back to adding, let me check. If it allows you to pick both, choose education and community building. If it only allows you to pick one, choose education. Everything else is self-explanatory. You ladies fill this out every week. I just want to make sure that you had the title. But once again, I always thank you all for coming. I'm trying, like I said, I'm trying to do shorter presentations. There'll be a couple of topics that are going to be like 45 minutes, but this wasn't one of them. It doesn't take an hour to discuss the differences between leading and management. You mean leading and managing. So thank you all. Thank you, ladies, for coming this evening. I love you all. I'll see you all next Thursday. And I want to say goodbye.